Hey, you guys like Pop-Tarts? Hey guys, it's Chris with Tech Vibe. Today we're going to be looking at Sony's ZV-1 vlog camera. Now you've probably seen this camera all over YouTube. It's been everywhere. But we're going to be looking at this camera, doing a little bit of review, and trying to decide if this camera is going to be good enough to replace our Canon EOS SL2. So, let's do some unboxing first. Sound good? Now, if we look at this thing, first impression, it's not that big, but we get an even better look at that when we bring up to the iPhone X here. And you can see that it's actually smaller in length than even the iPhone X. Now, this camera does come with the 20 pixel 1-inch sensor that you can find in the RX Mark 7. And it actually uses the same lens as the Mark 5. That's a lens that has a focal length of 9.4 and an optical zoom of 2.7. Now, the housing of this thing is actually made of entirely plastic, but don't let that deter you because it's actually fairly well made. It's very solid and you really wouldn't feel like it's cheaply made at all. So don't let that plastic deter you. Now, the buttons on this thing are very close to each other. It's really compact, and it kind of has to be with as small as this thing is. And the screen, it flips around, does what you would want it to do. However, I do have a problem with this menu, this touch panel. It is boasted as a touch panel, but if you try to actually touch the menu, it doesn't do anything at all. I even mess with it and go to different things to try to see if I'm just doing this wrong, but it doesn't let you touch it. The only time that it does actually let you interact with it in a touch manner is when you're trying to focus on a certain point, kind of like you do on the iPhone. But that's about as far as the touch screen goes on this thing. Kind of wonky. So I want you guys to see what it looks like with some real world vlogging going on with an external mic attached to it. So here we are with the vlogging type stuff going on. There's a movie actually being filmed behind me. Here is the recording with the normal mic that comes with the camera on. This is without my external microphone. And this is with the windscreen on, using the factory microphone. I don't know what movie this is being filmed behind me, but I know Dennis Quaid is in it, whatever movie that is. So, to further expand on how this microphone works, it's a 3-directional mic. So it will only pick up in 3 different patterns: the left, front, and the right. If you do try to speak behind it, it's not going to pick up very well, and that's because it's not an omnidirectional mic. Now, even though this camera is capable of shooting up to 4K at 30 frames, I still want to know how the clarity looks even when it's going up against the Canon. So let's check it out. Hello? Is it me you're looking for? Hello? Hello? Is it me you're looking for? Hello? So the zoom rocker on this thing is actually really sensitive. You can definitely mess up your frame of shot if you accidentally touch this thing, because the sensitivity on this thing is just, it's really high. So you definitely want to be conscientious of that, because it's really easy to hit. And it does come with 3 different input outputs on the side here. You've got the 3.5 millimeter jack that you can plug in an external microphone to if you'd like to use that. The micro USB for your uploads or charging. And then you got an HDMI out in case you want to use this as a webcam or something like that, or play it on the TV, stuff like that. Now, you may have noticed the multi-interface shoe that this camera does have. This is where you can install and holster an external mic or any other microphone accessories or camera accessories that you would want to use for this camera. Now, I do use the Rode VideoMic Pro, and it is a fairly beefy microphone in comparison to this camera, but it works too good for me to not use. Even if it does look kind of goofy, it's fine. It's fine. So we're going to look at the autofocus between these 2 cameras. And first up, we're going to be looking at the Canon. And you can see that it's not doing bad. It's doing good enough. It's fine. But in comparison to the Sony, it is not even on the same level. It is autofocusing so very quickly. It is picking up its own reflection in the iPhone with great detail. The autofocus on this camera is completely unmatched. But it's not all good. Sony actually sells a vlogger arm in addition to this camera that you can purchase. Now, if you check this picture here, you can see that it's actually not centered. Now, this may be a big issue to some. It's not to me. I use something similar, not this exact one, and it's not centered either. It doesn't bother me. So, I think you just gotta pay attention. Just a small nuance, but it is there. Now, I do think, however, the battery life on this thing is terrible. You get about 75 minutes of shoot time, and that can improve or decrease dramatically depending on the situation. Let me explain. If you're shooting on this camera on the highest settings that it has, the battery can actually drain really fast, and you can start running into overheating issues. Now, this might be a manufacturing issue. This may not be the case. This may not be normal. I don't know. I've been using this camera for about a week now, and I hadn't noticed it until recently. So I don't know if this is normal or not. Anyways, I have noticed that when it does get too hot, and that is happening without my battery still dying, it will just shut off recording without me telling it to. Hey guys, real quick, the shutting off that's happening when I'm recording that I'm talking about, it's actually happening because there's a record timer, and apparently that's only a thing whenever it's in 4K, So if you adjust that setting, then you don't run into that issue. But to be clear, it still has the overheating problems. So just be aware, there are some serious overheating issues with this thing. The battery sucks. And this can be a real problem if I think I've got a good take going on and it just stopped recording and I have no idea that it did. Thanks. It's happened multiple times. Now, again, like I said, I don't know that this is normal. So maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I have seen some other videos where people reported some overheating. So maybe this is. Now, where this can be improved though, you can actually plug this camera up into a power source and continue to film while the battery is still in the chassis. If you do take the battery out, it will die. You cannot film without a battery in the chassis. But even if the battery's dead, you can continue to film as long as it's getting power to it. That's a nice thing. So if it's not overheating, you're good to film. I don't mind that. I just need you to not get too hot. So all in all, I would say that aside the overheating problems, this is a great camera. It's a fantastic camera for anyone that's not great at cinematography and doesn't know how to work all the settings and just wants to be able to point and shoot. It definitely allows you to do so. The autofocus on this thing is unmatched, completely unmatched. It is great. So in that regard, if you do have other camera equipment and the resources at this $750 price tag, I would say if you can afford it, it's a great camera to add to your arsenal. However, as far as it replacing my Canon EOS SL2, it's gonna be a no. This ain't it, Chief. I can't express how agitated I got with shutting off on me and me not knowing it. Not good. So this camera definitely would not take over your main seat as a main camera. So I can't recommend it for that. So in this round, I'm sorry, ZV1, you lose. However, as I said, if you got the resources, it's a great camera for point and shoot and vlogging. It does fantastic. Guys, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope that I answered any questions that you may have had. If I did not, please leave me a comment. I'll try to do my best to answer your questions. I'll be honest, I am not a professional when it comes to cinematography. I'm not gonna try to act like I am. I do not know. But if you do ask me something, I will do my best to find the answer for you if I don't know it. So, guys, I hope you learned something. I hope you can like. I hope you can subscribe. And if not, well, hope to catch you in the next one. Remember, it's a vibe, a tech vibe, specifically. We'll see you.